Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled The Daisy. The Daisy, which was a members-only private discotheque club in Beverly Hills on the posh Rodeo Drive, specifically at 326 North Rodeo Drive. The Daisy operated from 1962 until 1982. Don't have an exact termination closure date for you. The building was eventually demolished, so you cannot see the Daisy as it once was. Before it was the Daisy, it was the Romanoff's restaurant. Romanoff's, named after Michael Romanoff. Not his real name. No, he was a Jewish Lithuanian person, born Lithuanian Jewish, immigrated to New York City, took his marching orders. California is the place you ought to be, so he loaded up his truck and he moved to Beverly and opened Romanoff's. Okay, we'll come back to him. So Michael Romanoff is in the story we're going to tell today. Even though he had nothing to do with Daisy's discotheque, he ran a similar operation, and it was an upscale restaurant. And it ran from 1941 through 1962. Do you see? So we switched out Michael Romanoff, who hosted the Who's Who of Beverly Hills, okay, which would include John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy, who dined at Romanoff's. Would include Jimmy Stewart, of course, Jack Benny, who's a neighbor of Jimmy Stewart. Jack Benny even featured Michael Romanoff on the Jack Benny radio show. You think that's an accident? Do you think that all these Hollywood people going to the same restaurants like Chasen's or Romanoff's or the Daisies or going to parties at the Playboy Mansion with Hugh Hefner in Holmby Hills, which is nearby, you think that's an accident? You think Oliver Silverstein Stone going over to visit Timothy Leary on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 1996, at the Sharon Tate murder site? You think that's an accident? Some random coincidence that would happen? No. So as my mother taught us, let's set the table before we sit down and enjoy our delicious dinner. I'm sure all of you have heard the expression 6 degrees of separation. And you probably heard me in previous videos use my own trope where I like to ask the question, does correlation equal causation? Because I'm open to the concept that no, not always. However, with my research that I've done into Hollywood and into CIA Hollywood, and into clandestine service activities, I'm here to tell you that pretty much 100% of the time, correlation equals causation. Okay. That's kind of my favorite go-to mantra. But anyway, 6 degrees of separation applies to the story as well. Let me read you the definition of 6 degrees of separation. It's the idea that all people are 6 or fewer social connections away from each other. As a result, there is a chain of friend-to-friend statements that can be made to connect any two people in a maximum of 6 steps. It is sometimes known as the 6 handshake rule. 6 handshakes rule. This concept was set out in 1929 in a short story by Figdries Canner III, in which a group of people play a game of trying to connect any person in the world to themselves by a chain of 5 other people. Anyway, Hollywood even produced a film of the same name, 6 Degrees of Separation, I believe in 1993. Anyway, I think that somewhere within the prisoner dilemma game, 6 Degree of Separation is one of the offshoots. Also gets into what's called the shrinking world. Does you feel like you're in a shrinking world sometimes? Anyway, I'm going to get off this subject. Anyway, 6 degrees of separation. So, does correlation equal causation? Is Hollywood connected through these 6 degrees of separation? I think it's a lot more disturbing than that, people. I don't even think there's 2 degrees of separation. These people all know each other. They're all in a cult, okay? The bankers know them. They know the bankers. They know the managers. They know the supervisors. They know each other. When Sharon Tate gets murdered, they're keenly aware of what that means. They understand the message. They don't have to have it explained to them like they're a child. They are very aware that they took an oath of obedience, that they have an oath of obeying the chain of command, that they have an oath of secrecy, and they have a world mission oath, which may or may not be relevant to all of them. But we follow orders or people die because they all function under maritime law in Hollywood. We follow orders or else. Jack Nicholson told us that in A Few Good Men, where he portrayed the colonel in charge of the Guantanamo Bay Navy facility. Oh, God. Anyway, or at least the Marines. He was in charge of the United States Marine Division assigned to rifle forces, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, which is a CIA colony, if you didn't know, and has been under the control of the clandestine services in the United States Navy since before 1898. So that means Fidel Castro works for the CIA. That means that General Batista worked for the CIA. Okay? That's what that means. And that there's no communist government in control in Cuba. Never was. It's martial law, it's military law, it's maritime law. It's United States Navy Office of Judge Advocacy law in Cuba. For the last 125 years, it's been so. All right, so it is not a coincidence that all the big stars in Hollywood go to Chasen's restaurant, or that Ronald Reagan proposed marriage to Nancy Davis at Chasen's and then called William Holden, and they met up in San Fernando Valley at the little church to get married impromptu after a dinner at Chasen's. See, the little church is open, I think, 24/7. See, it's like a McDonald's. You can get married anytime you want at the little church of the valley, San Fernando Valley. It's code for pornography, okay? When they say the valley, they mean porn. All right. These people all know each other. They're not separated by 6 degrees. I mean, they're not even separated. They're like Siamese twins. They're like Siamese twins. Okay. Let's, before I get into Nicole Brown and her father, which you'll be astonished to realize that the Sharon Tate relationship with her father, Paul Tate, who was in Army intelligence, is strikingly similar to the relationship with Nicole Brown and her father, Louis Brown, who was Army airborne pilot during World War II, flew B-17 bombers. And then after the war, he became a spy pilot for the United States military intelligence. Not different than Paul Tate did. Paul Tate became Army intelligence after World War II ended. And where was Nicole Brown born? She was born in Frankfurt, Germany in 1959. Where was Sharon Tate then? She was in Verona, Italy, and her father was stationed on the Army Airborne NATO base. So when Sharon Tate was posing at age 16 in cowgirl boots and a cowgirl hat and wearing a leotard on a United States Army surface-to-air missile in 1959, in October 1959, in Verona, Italy, on a NATO airbase, so that she could appear on the cover of the Stars and Stripes magazine for the April 1960 edition, when Sharon Tate was in Verona, Italy, under her father and mother's thumb, being indoctrinated into the clandestine military intelligence community. There's Nicole Brown in Frankfurt, Germany, whilst her father is flying spy planes all over Europe and Northern Africa. And you can bet that the film that her father took was developed by Jagger Giles Stovall in Dallas, Texas, which is where Sharon Tate was born. She was born in Dallas, Texas, 20 years before John Kennedy had his head blown off in Dallas, Texas, a port facility military intelligence town, Dallas, Texas, home to Jagger Giles Stovall, employer for Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Oswald worked for Jagger Giles Stovall, which is a military photography development laboratory. Lee Oswald worked there from October 1962 through April 1963, where he was then sent off to New Orleans to be sheep dipped a little more, and then given a stupid job as a box organizer on the 6th floor of the school book depository. Stovall was paying, Lee Oswald was making $8.50 per hour, plus got a $5,000 bonus of tax-free camera equipment, which is code for clandestine service tools, recording devices, film devices, spy tools. Lee Oswald is working for the CIA, and he was given the tools of the trade by Jagger Giles Stovall. That's what they found in his garage after he was done away with by Jacob Rubenstein. Remember, in the garage on Main Street for the Dallas Police Department? If you believe the story. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe about these ridiculous stories. They never tell you the truth. So the thing is that Nicole Brown Simpson, her father worked for Army Intelligence, just like Sharon Tate's father worked for Army Intelligence. They had different jobs. I mean, Sharon Tate's father was more diabolical, and he's out there, trying to trick anti-war draft dodgers into being pacified and controlled, or giving them drugs to neutralize them, to minimize their effort or demonize them. That's not what Nicole Brown's father was doing. He's taking pictures. Hey, I have clients that did that, okay? They seem like nice people. And I don't have a problem, with those people, but, they are spying. It is a spy job. It is spying. And if you fly your plane low and you scare people, then I do have a problem with that. And often spy pilots do that. So I don't know if Nicole Brown's father did any terrorism activities. I know that spy pilots often do that. Okay, so under the cover of being reconnaissance pilots, they're actually blowing out windows in churches, and they can frighten people during lunch hour in a financial district, which has been known to happen repeatedly. All right, so into my story, I'm going to weave Michael Romanoff, not his real name. We're going to talk about this Jack Hansen and his wife Sally, who opened the Daisy and had private membership limited to 400 members at $500 one-time initiation fee. Now, from my point of view, people, as a accountant, I have a problem with this concept of limiting it, because you're sort of limiting your revenues when you do that. But I'm here to tell you that the Romanoff's restaurant and the Daisy's discotheque private members are no different than the Playboy Mansion. They're no different than the Playboy Enterprises, the magazine, and then also the Playboy Clubs in Century City, the Playboy Club in London, England, in Chelsea, near the Chelsea district, across from Green Park. They're CIA operations. They're CIA operations, and the operators would be getting paid, directly from the clandestine services. In other words, they would have their rent covered. and they would receive other allowances or benefits that you would be money laundered by the private bankers, so it'd be impossible to trace it to the CIA. But what I'm saying is that they get paid directly from their customers, but they also get another form of payment from their puppet masters, the puppet masters. So Chasen's, which was a very popular restaurant during, all the way up to COVID, Chasen's was really popular. It's, fallen apart since. It's changed ownership. But Romanoff's, Chasen's were huge hubs for the Hollywood elite. But not all of that is by free choice. I believe the people who were in the CIA Hollywood cult are required to go to the restaurants that they're told to go to and be photographed, to be photographed continuously so they can be promoted as socially engineered important people, and that they live in the homes that they're assigned to. They don't hire a realtor and go looking for property in Beverly Hills. No, no, no. There's a property management company that the clandestine service runs, and they decide who lives in which home. We learned that with my Benedict Canyon example, but it's true in Holmby Hills, Bel Air, Truesdale's Estates, Beverly Hills, throughout the entire city of Beverly Hills, on the flats in Benedict Canyon, in Coldwater Canyon it's true, and it is true also in Laurel Canyon, and it is true in Stone Canyon, and it's true in Brentwood, where O.J. Simpson lived on Rockingham at the corner of Ashbury and Rockingham. You'll be not surprised, or maybe you will, to know that Oliver Silverstein Stone is O.J. Simpson's neighbor. Yeah, he's 2 houses away. Oliver Stone. I could throw a baseball from Oliver Stone's tennis court and hit that white Bronco where it was parked on the curb at Rockingham in front of his driveway. I think I could hit that car from Oliver Stone's tennis court. Oliver Stone. It's 2 houses away. Now, he's on a different street, so it's confusing. Oliver Stone is on Mandeville Canyon Road, but he's on a cul-de-sac. Oliver Stone lives on a cul-de-sac, a dead-end cul-de-sac. And his cul-de-sac backs up to Rockingham Drive, right where O.J. Simpson lives. Think that's a coincidence? Things really fall into place when you realize that these homes are assigned. They're assigned. And Oliver Stone's second wife, who's Sean Stone's mother, she lives at 332 24th Street, near the corner of Georgina Avenue. Now, they're the 5th house in. They're sort of halfway down the block. So that's where Sean Stone would have grown up, or spent some time in Santa Monica. And that home is 2.5 miles away from where Charlie Manson was kept at the Will Rogers estate at 14400 Sunset Boulevard. It's 2.5 miles away to where Oliver Stone lives also. It's the same distance. And then the distance to where Nicole Brown Simpson had her throat slit, both of her carotid arteries slit, which was at that time was known as 875 Bundy Drive. It's been renamed. It's 877 Bundy Drive now. Anyway, the distance from where Sean Stone lived to that address is 2 miles exactly. It's 2 miles. The distance from his father's home to that is 2.2 miles. 2.2. Okay? So I got Oliver Stone, O.J. Simpson, Nicole Simpson. Her next door neighbor is William Colby's son, Carl Colby. William Colby was director of CIA. And his son is the neighbor of Nicole Simpson. So when Nicole Simpson, separates from O.J. Simpson at Rockingham, where Oliver Stone lives, when they get separated in 1992, Nicole Simpson Nicole Brown moves to Gretna Green, who's the next door neighbor of Carl Colby. I don't know if he owns the house or not, but Nicole Brown is in a rental home. I don't know if she's paying rent. Probably not. I think it's a CI house. So essentially, Nicole Simpson ends up at Gretna Green. I'll be specific. It's easy number to recognize because it's almost the same address as the Daisy. Remember, the Daisy is 326 North Rodeo Drive, and Gretna Green's address for Nicole Simpson was 325 Gretna Green, next door to a CIA operative by the name of Carl Colby, the son of the person who was in charge of the Phoenix terrorism program for Vietnam, who was station chief in Rome, Italy, and friends with Paul Marcinkus of the Bank of Vatican. This is pretty heavy. So you do realize that Sharon Tate didn't volunteer to work for CIA. She was born into it, right? I mean, she didn't get forced into, it wasn't her idea to do all these beauty pageants as a 6-month-old child in Dallas, Texas, when she won Tiny Tot beauty pageant. It was Doris. It was CIA mother Doris Tate and Paul Tate. It was their idea to pimp out their daughter. It was their idea to do that. And that's what got Sharon Tate murdered at age 26. And I don't know whose parental supervision it was, if it was Lou Brown or his wife, to allow Nicole Brown to get a job as a waitress at the Daisy in 1977 when she just graduated from high school in Orange County, which is 90 minutes away. Why is a 18-year-old little girl going up to Beverly Hills to work in a CIA private club? It's the same thing as working at the Playboy Mansion. It's the same status. She's 18 years old, for God's sakes. On her first shift of her first day of employment at the Daisy, Nicole Brown meets O.J. Simpson, who is employed by Hertz Rent-A-Car and has retired from NFL football and has a number of other corporate endorsements. But he's making about $250,000 a year from Hertz Rent-A-Car in 1977. Now that's important because guess who's the chief financial officer of Hertz Rent-A-Car in 1977? Take a wild guess. If you've been watching my videos, shouldn't be a problem to conjure up the name. Jose Menendez. Jose Menendez was the chief financial officer for Hertz Rent-A-Car from 1971 to 1979. And O.J. Simpson took his paychecks from Jose Menendez. Okay? And that company was purchased by RCA, which is Jewish-run, Jewish-controlled, and the merchant bankers were Lehman Brothers, a Jewish merchant banking firm in Wall Street. Okay? What I'm telling you is O.J. Simpson has to be real nice to Jose Menendez because that's whose name is on his paychecks. Yeah. I mean, because O.J.'s paid as a contractor. He's not getting paid, he's not getting paid as an employee. He's a part of a marketing program. I'm sure it went into the O.J. Simpson, straw company. At the Daisy, all the stars get, not all, but many of them have dishes on the menu named after them. So the O.J. Simpson dish was scrambled eggs and a slice of orange. That was the O.J. Simpson breakfast. Not that creative, really. All right, so you see any 6 degrees of separation here? I see like Siamese twins. So I got O.J. Simpson, who's neighbors with Oliver Silverstein Stone. I've got O.J. Simpson working essentially for Jose Menendez, who's the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of Hertz Rent-A-Car. Okay? Then I've got Nicole Brown, who's working as a waitress at a CIA private club discotheque in Beverly Hills, 2.7 miles away from Sharon Tate's murder scene. And she takes up a relationship with O.J. Simpson where she dates him for 8 years, lives with him almost immediately, moves in with him. O.J. Simpson is married, and his wife, Marguerite, is pregnant with their daughter, their second child. What was her name? Arnell. Marguerite is pregnant with Arnell when O.J. Simpson puts the moves on Nicole Brown, age 18, right out of high school. She moves in with him in Beverly Hills, in Brentwood, So what I want to tell you is that this is inappropriate. And it's inappropriate on how many different levels, right? I mean, where is the parental supervision here for Nicole Brown? Why is her mother allowing her to move in with this age 29? He's 29 years old, and Nicole is 18 years old. There's an 11 and a half year difference, almost 12-year difference. It's just under 12-year age gap. This is completely inappropriate. And yet, the Brown family allows it to continue. They allow it to go on. This is analogous to Paul and Doris Tate allowing their daughter to do the modeling and then helping co-sign on her contract with MGM and CBS at Filmways at Culver City. They're enabling their daughter to enter CIA Hollywood. Guess what? So are the Browns. They're enabling their daughter, Nicole, to enter CIA Hollywood through the Daisy, which is a CIA operation. For sure it is. And there she is as a waitress. Now she's moved in Brentwood with OJ, who's still married. He has not got the divorce yet. They're living together and he's not even divorced. Okay? You see anything dysfunctional about this? So when you find out that Sharon Tate gets bayoneted 16 times to death by a NATO bayonet in a home that she didn't live in called Cielo Drive, you should not be surprised when you knew what her parents were. If you knew who Doris Tate really was. If you knew who Paul Tate really was as a human being. They're the ones that got their daughter murdered. They're the ones. And in the case of Nicole Brown, it was her parents. Her parents allowed her to get involved with O.J. Simpson and the Daisy. She's 18 years old. She's not mature enough to understand the danger of what she's doing. Anyway, that's how my research began. It was all focused in on Nicole Brown. You know, and where did she go to high school when she came back from Europe? Well, she went to the place where all the military intelligence kids go, which is Los Alamitos. And I'll be real specific. So, I'll be real specific with Nicole Brown. Let's discuss Nicole Brown. Okay, she was born May 19th, 1959. Okay? She was murdered at age 35 on June 12th, 1994. You know, about 250 feet away from the CIA, Carl Colby. So apparently he didn't run to her rescue, even though he was very close to her murder site. I think his testimony at the preliminary hearing was he didn't hear anything. Okay. We got another witness that said he heard a plaintive wail of a dog. Anyway, you should know that Nicole Brown was born in Frankfurt, West Germany. Okay? Her mother's name is Judy or Juditha Ann Brown. Juditha Ann Brown reminds me of Doris Tate. Louis Hezekiah Lou Brown Jr. is her father. Like I said, he's a spy pilot. Nicole Brown went to Rancho Alamitos High School in Garden Grove. That's code for military intelligence, Joint Forces military base, Long Beach. Long Beach. Spooks headquarters, port facility. Rancho Alamitos High School is for the children of people that work in the clandestine services in the port facility of Long Beach. It's called Garden Grove, but it's Long Beach. But then she transferred to Dana Hills High School at Dana Point, California, which is real upscale. She was lifelong Roman Catholic. Okay? But here's the thing. Dana Point's very expensive. So how did the Brown family have the money when Lou left the United States Army? How could he afford to move to Dana Point? There are so many people in CI Hollywood that moved down to Orange County, to Newport Beach, and to Dana Point area, Laguna Hills, Laguna Beach, which is a high concentration of people that are in the clandestine services. So it appears that her father must have had some contacts there, and they got a nice fancy house. Now that's important because then after 8 years of living with O.J. Simpson, in 1985, the Lovebirds decided to get married. I don't know why. O.J. Simpson was never faithful to his girlfriend, and he's certainly not going to be faithful to her when they get married. So they get married. Their marriage didn't last very long. The marriage to O.J. Simpson, let's put it this way. O.J. Simpson's relationship with Hertz Rent-A-Car lasted a lot longer than his relationship to Nicole Brown. He did almost 20 years with Hertz Rent-A-Car before they fired his dumb ass after the Bronco chase on television. That was the termination of the O.J. Simpson Hertz Rent-A-Car relationship. And I'm here to tell you, Hertz Rent-A-Car and RCA, who owned them at the time that happened, they're a clandestine services company, and O.J. Simpson is working for the clandestine services. But essentially what I'm saying is that O.J. was terminated from Hertz Rent-A-Car's relationship. But he's still part of the community. O.J. is part of the clandestine service community. Look, once he took that gig with Hertz Rent-A-Car, he was plugged into the CIA, okay? And you know that's true because who was his lawyer? His lawyer was F. Lee Bailey. He's a CIA lawyer. He represented Patricia Hearst. She was involved with the CIA kidnapping, the Symbionese Liberation Army, right? His other lawyers were Alan Dershowitz. He's involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, Alan Dershowitz is associated with Yale Law School and CIA activities, and Klaus Van Beulah, and saying outrageous things about personal freedoms, that basically you don't have personal freedoms. Alan Dershowitz, a Jew from Brooklyn, is a clandestine soldier for the Jewish army, for the clandestine service army. And he was on television instead of keeping his lips locked during the O.J. Simpson trial, where he was there in case of an appeal, which there didn't need to be appeal since O.J. Simpson was acquitted of the double murder of Ron Goldman, who's Jewish, and Nicole Brown, who's not Jewish, but whose father works for Army intelligence. Isn't that fascinating? Also, what you missed in the trial was O.J. Simpson received Navy SEAL combat training a few weeks before Nicole Brown's neck was cut, before her carotid arteries were cut. O.J. had received kill training on how to slit throats. So it appears there's a Manchurian Candidate training element involved with the O.J. Simpson murder that never came out in the trial, which was televised. And we had talking heads like Jewish Dan Abrams there telling you what to think and believe. He's Jewish. He's from New York. And Harvey Levin, remember him? He's Jewish. He's got his show TMZ. He told us what to believe about the Anne Heche fiery car crash that never happened. Harvey Levin, a Jewish person who appears to have a major problem with truth. Not capable of following truth. Not at all. So, this is exactly the same blueprint that Sharon Tate went through. She went to the high school that the clandestine service kids went to in Verona, Italy. Nicole Brown went to Los Alamitos High School, but then did transfer to go to Dana Point. In 1989, there was a 9/11 call, and there was a beating involving O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown. And it was very serious, and O.J. Simpson was, I believe, arrested. And I believe there were 22 incident reports. Now, you typically don't call the police on every single beating incident. But if you have 21 incidents, I mean, what, you think there's 200 incidents? The point is 22 is a big number, right? You would think OJ would be arrested multiple times, but he was only arrested one time. Anyway, so now we have a situation where it kind of looks like Nicole Brown wants a divorce. But instead of that, her parents, Judy, and Lewis, they convinced their daughter to reconcile with O.J. Simpson. And in exchange, O.J. Simpson arranges for a Hertz Rent-A-Car franchise at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Dana Point for the Brown family. So, in other words, we have Jose Menendez's company. Now, Jose has moved on. Jose Menendez is no longer at Hertz Rent-A-Car. He had left in 1979. This event happened 10 years later in 1989. So Jose Menendez is now in the porn industry, and he's working in San Fernando Valley. He's living in Calabasas. He's renting a home in Calabasas whilst he's building a 9,000 square foot mansion in Hidden Hills, Calabasas. He is not living in Beverly Hills. He is not living at 722 North Elm Drive, Nightmare on Elm Street. He is not living there. Elton John is living there, okay? And Michael Jackson is living there. But you should know, people, that there's most disturbing things happen here is O.J. Simpson smooths everything over by giving a highly lucrative franchise for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel of Dana Point, which, by the way, was the last conference hotel where Erin Valente stayed before she was murdered. Now, she did stay in a hotel in Monterey Bay in the Cannery Row area. So it's the second to last hotel that she stayed where there was a business conference. She stayed at the Nest Hotel the night before, the night before she was murdered. But Erin Valente stayed at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. I've been by it. I have not been inside of it. I know exactly where it is. I'm very familiar with the area. And that I didn't know that Nicole Brown's parents were somehow given a franchise. Those franchises are very expensive. And I don't think you could afford it unless you were given a special deal. So O.J. Simpson, who is still in good standing with Hertz Rent-A-Car, he doesn't go sideways with them until 1994 after his ex-wife turns up dead on the steps with her head almost decapitated. You should know that, this is a similar situation that we had with Sharon Tate because, remember, she was hacked 16 times with a bayonet on August 9th, 1969, and it was at the Daisy on Monday afternoon, evening. It was Diana Ross who presents the Jackson 5 to the Hollywood media at 326 North Rodeo Drive at the Daisy discotheque, where the Jackson 5 dances on the wax dance floor. There's Diana Ross presenting the Jacksons as the next pop group. This is less than 48 hours from when Sharon Tate was murdered. And we have this presentation going on at the Daisy. Do you see anything macabre about this? Do you see anything unusual about this? In other words, business goes on. They have the program and the artificial intelligence, social engineered content canned and ready to go 5 years in advance. And they had already decided they're going to present the Jackson 5 on Monday, August 11th. They'd already decided about the moon landing. They'd already decided on the splashdown. They'd already decided on all that stuff. And then they just mixed and matched the My Lai massacre, the Sharon Tate murders. They have the venues already selected. They're using the Daisy and Diana Ross to present. And Diana Ross is important because that's where Roman Polanski spent his honeymoon, with Diana Ross. Because the Friday afternoon cocktail party, which they want you to believe was a wedding reception for Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski at the Playboy Club in London, that was on a Friday afternoon. And it ended at around 6 p.m. Whereupon Roman Polanski went over to watch Diana Ross perform in the theater district, which is walking distance from where the Playboy Club was, where the Sheraton Grand Hotel is, where Peter where Peter Sellers was done away with next door, where Mama Cass was done away with next door, Cass Elliot, where Keith Moon was done away with next door, just one block from the Playboy Club, Diana Ross performing. It's unbelievable. Agnes Moorehead attending. All right, so let me just take a pause and a time out here and reflect on what I have to say about this. Is Oliver Stone is in this story. Oliver Stone undoubtedly knows Jose Menendez. I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but he knows the people that hired Jose Menendez, who is Andrew Vajna, whose real name is Andres Weidman. He knows him. Oliver Stone knows him. And he knows Mario Casar. And Mario Casar and Andrew Vajna hold $15 million of life insurance on Jose Menendez. And that's who Jose Menendez was working for when he was brutally murdered by the CIA. And Oliver Stone knows his employers. O.J. Simpson knows Jose Menendez. Jose Menendez lives in Calabasas, but the media wants you to believe he lived in Beverly Hills. It's not true. Oliver Stone is neighbors to O.J. Simpson. Have you heard anywhere that he admitted that or he knows that? Or I can give you Oliver Stone's address. You can look it up. It's 2 houses away. It's 2 houses away. Now, look, driving your car, you'd have to backtrack and go around. It's about a half a mile drive to get to OJ's house. But if you just walk through the backyard of the person at the end of the cul-de-sac, you'd be at OJ's house. It's like under 100 yards. It's under 100 yards. It's like I said, I think you could throw a baseball to Rockingham, to 360 Rockingham, I think was the address. It's been changed. All the addresses have been changed. But the point is that Oliver Stone he's not next door neighbors to OJ, but he's damn close. He's really close. So this is not a surprise to me at all. It's not a surprise to me at all. This is how it is. So the Daisy, I believe, my supposition is the Daisy was a CIA operation. The Romanoff restaurant was a CIA operation before that. It's the who's who. Everybody went there. And Jack Benny promoting the Romanoff restaurant on his radio show, not an accident, it's part of the clandestine services. And these people are all tools. They're told what houses to live in. They're told what restaurants to go to. They're told how to smile for the photographs and what role to play and what social engineering messages they should deliver in their stage scripted interviews. All right, that's my video for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.